Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be reading the second mystery from Lemony Snicket's File Under 13 Suspicious Incidents. And what I want you to do is I want you to pause this video and get a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper. And as I read the story, we're going to try to notice anything that might stand out as a possible clue so that you might be able to put things together a little easier at the end and solve the mystery yourself. Okay, so this one is called Pinched Creature. I was spending the afternoon with my associate, Moxie Mallahan. Moxie was Stained by the Sea's only reporter, a job she had learned from her parents, who had run the town's newspaper, the Stain Lighthouse. The newspaper was shut down, Mrs. Mallahan had left town, Mr. Mallahan was sleeping late, and Moxie and I were just hanging around the lighthouse, doing a little reading and talking over various incidents that had happened recently. "It's been too long since we've done this," Moxie said. "Done what?" "Had an uneventful time like this?" Right on cue, the doorbell rang, as if to say enough was enough for uneventfulness, and when Moxie opened the door, there was an event. The event was a boy several years younger than I was, and much more upset. He wore a white coat like a scientist, and had two pairs of glasses, one over his eyes and the other perched on his head. "I'm sorry to disturb you," the boy said, "but you're the closest neighbor, and I need some help." "Oliver," Moxie said, "I didn't know your family was still in town." She turned to me. "Oliver's parents are the only veterinarians left in Stained by the Sea. So few people have pets nowadays, I'd assume the Dr. Sobel had closed up shop." "They have," Oliver said, his eyes blinking nervously behind his glasses, "but I'm here for a few more months running the business until they come and fetch me." "Well, if you ever want company," Moxie said, "hike up the hill and we'll play some Parcheesi. This is my friend Lemony Snicket, by the way. He won't play Parcheesi because he says it's inane." "It is inane," I said, and inane is a word which here means pointless and dull. Oliver frowned, and I can't say I blame him. If you're worried about something, it's not a good time to listen to people argue over games and vocabulary. He sat down glumly at the bottom of the stairs that spiraled up to the lighthouse lantern. "I'm sorry, Oliver," Moxie said. "We were prattling on while you have something on your mind." "I sure do," Oliver said. "I've lost a newt." Moxie and I both looked at Oliver. If we looked at each other, we might have laughed. "It might sound silly," Oliver said, "but this newt is very important." Moxie's eyebrows went up underneath her hat. What could be so important about a little lizard? "First of all," Oliver said, "newts aren't lizards. A lizard is a reptile and a newt is an amphibian. Second of all, this newt is a very rare subspecies. I've lost an amaranthine newt, known for its bright yellow color and prevalent left-handedness. It was the only one in captivity and prized by herpetologists and southpaws all over the world." "Why do they call it the amaranthine newt if it's bright yellow?" I asked. "Amaranthine means purple, doesn't it?" "Its eggs are purple," Oliver said. "My father took the eggs with him to his new job at Amphibians A Go-Go, an aquatic animal center and amusement park just outside the city. The newt and I are supposed to join them there soon. If I can't find the newt, my father might lose his job." "Don't fret, Oliver," Moxie said, although I could see that Oliver just kept on fretting. So let's take a second to just write down some things that are important, right? So there is a missing newt. The newt is an amaranthine newt. It's bright yellow in color. It is left-handed. And it has purple eggs. So those all seem like important pieces of information. "Don't fret, Oliver," Moxie said, although I could see that Oliver just kept on fretting. "Snicket here has a knack for finding strange missing items. Isn't that so, Snicket?" "It's sometimes so," I said. "Oliver, why don't you tell us how the newt slipped away?" "I don't think it slipped away," Oliver said. "I think it was pinched." "Somebody stole it?" Moxie said. "That's a serious accusation to make." She sat down and opened a case sitting on the floor. Inside was a typewriter that Moxie Malhan always kept nearby, and she started taking notes immediately on the clattering machine. I'm making it seriously, Oliver said. The amaranthine newt lives in a special tank on a desk in my examining room, so I can always keep an eye on it. It was there when I opened for business this morning. Okay, so the newt lives in a tank on his desk in his examining room. Those seem like important things. And how many patients did you have today, I asked. Just one, Oliver said. You were right about few people having pets, Moxie. But Polly Partial has 2 of the last cats in town, and one of them has a narcissistic disorder. Polly Partial, the grocer? Moxie asked. It met my eye. Neither of us was fond of the woman who ran Partial Foods, but lots of people nobody is fond of have sick cats. So let's just make a note that the patient that he saw this morning was Polly Partial, that lady there, the grocer, and that she has a cat. Okay. Her cat, whose name is Paper Bag, by the way, has been a patient of my family's for a very long time, Oliver said. I can't imagine that his owner is a thief, but greed in newts can do strange things to people. I examined Paper Bag and went to my desk to write out a prescription. Then I escorted Partial and Paper Bag out and spent a few minutes in the backyard watering my father's zinnias. The flowers match the trim on the office, as long as you keep them healthy. And I'd like to leave the place looking nice. When I went back into the office, the tank was empty. Okay, so he walked Partial and Paper Bag out. He spent a few minutes in his backyard. Okay. And then when he went back, the tank was empty. Someone must have snuck in while you were gardening, Moxie said. Oliver shook his head. I would have heard anyone else driving up the road. They need not have arrived by automobile, I said. To pinch my newt, Oliver said, they need a similar tank. You couldn't fit one on a bicycle or a donkey. Polly Partial must have stolen the newt, but I don't see how. I don't mean to be rude, I said, but can you really trust your eyes? I notice you have not 1, but 2 pairs of glasses. Okay, so Oliver wears 2 pairs of glasses, so his vision maybe is not that great. Another important thing is he thinks that the person who stole it would need a special tank. So Oliver gave me a stern, lens-covered look. My eyes aren't perfect, he said, but with these glasses I can see perfectly well, and I keep the other pair on my head for reading. You don't have bifocals, I asked, referring to eyeglasses that combine 2 lenses into one. There aren't any optometrists left in town, Moxie told me. The closest eye doctor is way over in Poultryville, but she doesn't have a very good reputation. Did you use your reading glasses when you were with Paper Bag, I asked Oliver. He nodded, when I wrote out the prescription. Okay, so Oliver used his reading glasses when he was with Paper Bag, okay, because he wrote out a prescription. Well, I'm sure you saw clearly, I said, but I'm not sure I do. Shall we walk over to the Sobel office? Oliver said yes, and we did. Moxie carrying her typewriter and me trying to think. It was a warm, breezy day, with the wind carrying a salty smell from the seaweed of the cluster's forest, an eerie phenomenon that lay below the cliff we were on. But we walked the other way, down a road as bumpy and cracked as a vase falling downstairs. Soon enough we could see the office of the Dr. Sobel, a faraway building with yellow and orange trim, but when we rounded a corner, something made us stop. There was a car pulled over to the side of the road, and a man frowning at the car like it had given him socks for his birthday. Good afternoon, I said. Not in my opinion, the man replied, and used his right hand to point at one of the car's tires. It also looked a little sad. I seem to have a flat. Okay, so there's a man in front of the office that has a flat tire. There's a garage about a half-mile away, Moxie said, pointing that away with one finger. Thank you, the man said. I'm a doorknob salesman passing through town, and I'm late for an appointment. I guess I better walk on over to the garage. My car doesn't have anything valuable in it, so I suppose it will be all right. I peeked through the window of his car. I couldn't help it. I've been trained to do such things. There was nothing in it. Oliver had other concerns. You haven't noticed a newt crawling around, have you? Or a suspicious person, Moxie asked. What kind of a person, the man asked. I saw a woman driving by in a beat-up grocery van. And what kind of lizard? Oliver sighed in annoyance. It's an amethine newt, he said, and that woman is probably a thief. A newt will be hard to find, said the stranger, but I might look in a patch of zinnias I pass. It could blend in and hide there. You're thinking of a chameleon, I said. But you're probably right that we won't find the newt. We might as well help you instead. So the man said that he could probably check a patch of zinnias for the amethine newt. So I'm just going to guess that zinnias must be yellow in color. You can Google it if you have access to your computer right now and see what color zinnias are. So this man is suggesting that they check a patch of zinnias. What? Oliver said, blinking in astonishment, and Moxie frowned. Do you have a spare tire in the trunk? I continued, talking to the man. The supposed salesman shook his head. Nope. That's too bad, I said. But maybe you have something that would do in a pinch. I don't think so, the man said quickly in a pinched voice. In a pinch is a phrase which here means in a difficult situation, and a pinched voice is a whiny and nervous one. But neither of these pinches was the pinch I was thinking of. Open the trunk anyway, I said, so we can see the special newt tank you have hidden there. Okay, so let's take a minute, think about all the clues you've written down, and see if you have an idea why they know that that man was the thief. So I'm going to read it. It's on page 213. So the solution is called Dishonest Salesman. Okay. The man by the side of the road said that the amaranthine newt might have hidden itself in the zinnias, which were yellow and orange, like the building's trim. But anyone who was not a herpetologist or a southpaw would guess that the amaranthine newt would be purple, not yellow, and thus not able to hide. The stranger was thus not a doorknob salesman, but a thief who had left his car by the side of the road to pinch the newt while Oliver was gardening. Caught, he returned the stolen creature, and everything was back to normal, although Paper Bag's disorder has not yet cleared up. So, did you guys guess the answer to this one? I have to say that I actually guessed it for once. I'm not great at these things, but I actually figured that one out. So post in the comments if you were able to put the clues together and guess the answer to this one too. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.